everyone. I want you to imagine, if you will, that you have mold growing in your lungs, and it's so severe that all you spend all day doing is coughing and wheezing. Now imagine that you're only 8 years old. Studies have been conducted by the CDC that show 1 in 3 homes with children with asthma have mold growing in their homes. Now, this subject touches home for me because although I don't have children, I do have mold growing in my home. And I learned about it, even though I've known about the mold for a while, I've learned about it this semester in microbiology class. We talked about fungus. It's a type of cell. And my teacher was telling us about how can be very harmful, doesn't matter what levels. And she even was talking to me about it on the side because she was concerned that there was mold growing in my home. And she asked me about what sources of moisture that I have. Well, I have next to me what my boyfriend and I lovingly refer to as Lake 917. There's an abandoned building attached to us that has stagnant water on it about 60% of the year. And this is our source of mold, and it is pretty severe. Our whole entire wall is from like 3 feet up is covered with mold, and it has to be cleaned on a regular basis. Now, I want to talk to you today about mold because I've been learning a lot, and I want to share what I've learned with you about how mold grows, how to detect it, clean it, and prevent it, and the health risks related to mold. Now, mold is a type of fungus. Think of algae. Algae is a fungus. It's grown in the ocean and like seaweed. And now seaweed and algae need very high levels of moisture to grow. But similar to seaweed, mold does need moisture, but it does not need the level of moisture that algae does. It just needs a very little bit amount of moisture to thrive in a nice warm temperature. Now, Wikipedia has several different types of mold listed if you really want to know all the several different types of mold. But I want to just give you a basic breakdown of mold. Mold starts out as mildew. What we know in our showers is mildew. And it can, if not cleaned properly, it can turn to mold. Mold then has forms of green mold, which is harmful, and black mold, which is incredibly harmful and can even be fatal. Now, we have to talk about mold, and when we talk about mold, we have to talk about cleaning it. Like, we see that it's there. Well, it's not going to do any good to know that it's there if you don't know what to do about it. Now, to clean mold, it's pretty simple product that's out there on the market. And I actually conducted studies in our microbiology class about which cleaning agents work the best. And what we found works the best is Scrubbing Bubbles Bathroom Foaming Cleaner. It's a nice thick layer because mold grows in porous surfaces. And like wood, we don't live in glass and plastic houses, so it doesn't, we live in homes with porous materials like wood and brick and sheetrock, and they love to grow in that environment. Now, to prevent mold, you have to clean and rid the source of moisture. Mold is grown from moisture. So like I said, if you don't have the source of moisture, you're not going to have the mold problem. So when you go to clean it, if you want it to prevent it from coming back, you must also rid the source of moisture. Now, in my case, I'm not able to rid the source of moisture because even though the building next to us that's condemned is supposed to be torn down, it hasn't been. It's supposed to have been torn down 2 years ago, and I'm not able to do that. Every once in a while, they like to come over jackhammers at 8 in the morning and wake me up, and trust me, that's not a pleasant way to wake up. But if you can't rid yourself of the source of moisture, you must continue to clean it. And what I found with our experiment with Scrubbing Bubbles, what works best is you clean it once a month. You can let it go about a month, 2 months, but if you really want to stay on top of it and not have to spend a lot of your day cleaning your mold, even though most people don't have the largest issue as I do, but you need to clean it like once a month. Now, your shower, on the other hand, you have to clean continually because the mildew, but the mold, it takes a lot longer to grow. You just need to stay on top of it. Now, the health risks related to mold is the reason why I wanted to talk to you all about this today, because a lot of people don't realize how severe they can be. The most common problems aren't as severe: allergies and headaches. Also, the more severe risks are fatigue, chronic lung infections, and then asthma in children. The Environmental Research Journal conducted a study that showed that levels of mold were 3 times higher in homes with children with asthma. So, after all this information I've given you today, I want you to be an advocate for me. I want you to go out there and we need to have a PSA, a public service announcement. Talk about getting rid of the mold in your homes. And now I don't want you to bring this up in everyday conversation. It's just not feasible. But if you have friends and family that are talking about the issues I mentioned, fatigue, chronic lung infections, children with asthma, allergies that they don't know where they came from before, then you may want to talk about the sources of information that I found, and that's the EPA.gov, the CDC.gov. Wikipedia is a great place to learn about mold, and PubMed will tell you about studies done to the effects of cleaning products and how mold actually really gets in there and works in your lungs. So I want you to know, because believe me, it's not pleasant having Lake 917 out there. And even though it sounds appealing, it's really not. But be sure in your homes to avoid problems. Fix leaky faucets, fix broken toilets. Help me stop the spread of this little green monster. Thank you for your time today, and have a great afternoon.